Humans were just a myth. Then the fleet crossed into their space. The asteroid field stretched before the Council fleet like a graveyard of dead worlds. Hundreds of massive rocks, each one the size of a small moon, drifted in the darkness between the stars. The Council ships held position at a safe distance, their sensors recording everything while their crews watched with a mixture of curiosity and dread. Commander Taeyang stood on his bridge, feeling the tension in the air. Beside him, Bora checked her instruments repeatedly, while Kallo stood ready at the weapon station. Throughout the fleet, 200 Council warships waited to see what humanity would show them. A transmission came through from the human forces. Admiral Sujin appeared on screen, her expression professional and cold. Council fleet, what you are about to witness is a standard combat exercise for Earth Defense Forces. We will demonstrate our tactical capabilities, weapons systems, and response protocols. Please maintain your current position. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate defensive measures. The transmission ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to come alive. Human ships appeared from nowhere, hundreds of them, far more than the Council had detected. They had been hiding somehow, their stealth technology making them invisible to Council sensors. The ships moved with incredible speed and precision, forming attack patterns that shifted and flowed like living things. The Council tactical officers struggled to track them all. Then the weapons began firing. But they weren't firing at the Council fleet. Instead, they targeted the asteroids in the field. What happened next made Taeyang's blood run cold. Beams of pure energy lanced through space, striking asteroids with pinpoint accuracy. But these weren't normal weapons. The asteroids didn't just explode, they vanished, torn apart at the molecular level by technology that seemed to erase matter itself. Entire mountains of rock simply ceased to exist, leaving nothing behind but briefly glowing particles. By the ancients, Bora whispered, her scales turning pale. Those are quantum disruptors. I've read theoretical papers about such weapons, but I never thought they could actually be built. Another wave of human ships launched different weapons, missiles that seemed to bend space around them, moving faster than light for brief moments. When they struck their targets, the asteroids collapsed inward, crushed by artificial gravity fields that created temporary singularities. The destruction was absolute and terrifying. The demonstration continued for 30 minutes. Human ships darted between asteroids at speeds that should have been impossible, their computers responding faster than any biological brain could process. They showed defensive capabilities too. Energy shields that absorbed weapons fire without breaking, electronic warfare systems that could blind entire fleets of enemy ships, and coordination that suggested their vessels were linked by some kind of shared intelligence network. By the time it ended, a quarter of the asteroids in the field had been completely destroyed. The rest floated peacefully untouched, proving that every shot had been exactly where the humans wanted it. The message was clear. This was what happened to things that humans targeted. This was the fate of anyone who attacked Earth. On his bridge, Taeyang watched as his tactical officer ran the calculations. "Commander," the officer said in a shaking voice, "based on what we just saw, if the human fleet engaged us right now, we would be destroyed in approximately 7 minutes. Our shields couldn't stop those quantum weapons. Our ships couldn't outrun their missiles. We would have no chance." Admiral Corvin's face appeared on the communication screen, and for the first time since Taeyang had known him, the old admiral looked shaken. "This is impossible. How did they develop such technology? How did they advance so far beyond Council standards?" Bora had the answer. 12,000 cycles of isolation, Admiral. No Council regulations holding them back. No need to standardize with other species' technology. They followed their own path and it led them far beyond us. Another transmission came from the humans. This time it was President Minho himself, speaking from Orbital Station Alpha. "Council fleet, you have now seen a fraction of Earth's defensive capabilities. We showed you this not to threaten you, but to make you understand the reality of our situation. We cannot be conquered. We cannot be forced into submission. Any attempt to do so would result in casualties that neither side can afford." He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. "But we do not want war. We have had enough of war. What we want is to be left in peace, or, if the Council is willing, to be treated as equals. We offer you a choice. Return to your Council and tell them that humanity is willing to discuss genuine partnership. Trade agreements, cultural exchange, shared research. But we will never again bow to anyone who thinks they have the right to control us. The transmission ended, leaving silence across the Council fleet. Taeyang knew that every captain and admiral was making the same calculation he had already made. Fighting the humans would be suicide. But returning to the Council and admitting that humanity was not only alive but superior in military technology would cause panic throughout known space. Before anyone could respond, Admiral Corvin made his decision. His voice cut through the fleet communication channels with the authority of a lifetime of command. All ships, this is Admiral Corvin. Prepare for immediate attack. These humans have revealed themselves to be the threat our ancestors warned us about. We will not return to the Council as failures. We will not admit that we are weak. Battle stations. Taeyang's hearts nearly stopped. Admiral, you can't be serious. You saw what they're capable of. I saw what they want us to believe they're capable of. Corvin shot back. It could be illusions, tricks, edited footage. We are the Galactic Council. We do not retreat from threats. All ships target the human command vessel and fire on my mark. Throughout the fleet, ships began powering up weapons, but not all of them. Many captains hesitated, unwilling to throw away their lives and crews in what seemed like a suicide mission. The fleet began to fracture, with some ships preparing to fight and others holding position. Taeyang made his choice. Tactical disengage weapons. Communications open a channel to all ships. When the channel opened, he spoke quickly. This is Commander Taeyang. I am relieving Admiral Corvin of command on grounds of mental instability. Any captain who follows his orders is committing suicide. The humans have shown us mercy by demonstrating their power, instead of simply destroying us. If we attack them now, we throw away that mercy and the lives of everyone in this fleet. Corvin's face appeared on screen, purple with rage. You dare commit mutiny? You are finished, Taeyang. Your career is over. But before the situation could escalate further, another voice cut through the communications. Counselor Jiwoo, broadcasting from Council space. This is Emergency Counselor Override. I am invoking Article 72 of the Council Military Code. Admiral Corvin, you are hereby removed from command. Commander Taeyang, you are promoted to Acting Fleet Admiral with full authority over the diplomatic mission. Stand down immediately. Both sides stand down. The authority in her voice, backed by council law, froze everyone in place. Corvin's face disappeared from the screens as his ship's crew forcibly removed him from the command chair. Throughout the fleet, weapons powered down. The moment of crisis passed, but the tension remained thick enough to cut. Taeyang took a deep breath and opened a channel to the human forces. President Minho, this is Acting Fleet Admiral Taeyang. I apologize for the actions of Admiral Corvin. The Council fleet will not attack. I request permission to meet with you and discuss a way forward that doesn't end in bloodshed. Minho's face appeared on screen, and Taeyang could see the relief in the president's eyes. Permission granted, Admiral. But this time we talk on equal terms. We talk as civilizations that both have the power to destroy each other, but choose not to. We talk as potential partners, not as conquerors and conquered. Agreed, Taeyang said simply. The negotiations that followed took 3 months. Representatives from both sides met daily aboard a neutral station that humans built specifically for the talks. Bora and Doyun worked together to establish protocols for cultural exchange. Commander Hyun and Taeyang developed frameworks for military cooperation and mutual defense treaties. Counselor Jiwoo argued passionately before the full council assembly, convincing them that integration was better than isolation or war. There were difficulties. Many council species remained fearful of humanity. Some humans wanted nothing to do with the galaxy that had tried to destroy them. But slowly, carefully, a new framework emerged. The Treaty of New Dawn was signed 6 months after Taeyang's first accidental crossing into human space. Under its terms, humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Council, not as a subordinate species but as an equal partner. The gravitational barrier around human space would remain as a recognized border that council ships could only cross with permission. In exchange, humans would share some of their technology and allow cultural exchanges to begin rebuilding trust. 5 cycles later, Doyun stood in a government building on the council homeworld, wearing the formal uniform of Earth's first official ambassador. Humans were just a myth. Then the fleet crossed into their space. The alert reached Earth's leadership within minutes of the Council fleet's departure from their home system. Deep space monitoring stations, hidden throughout the galaxy for thousands of cycles, tracked the massive formation of warships as they began their journey toward human space. President Minho received the report in his office aboard Orbital Station Alpha, the capital of human government that circled Earth like a protective guardian. Minho was 50 years old, with gray touching his temples and the weight of 8 billion lives on his shoulders. He had been elected on a platform of maintaining the isolation that had kept humanity safe for so long. Now that isolation was ending, and he had to decide how humanity would face the galaxy that had once tried to destroy them. Within hours, the War Council assembled in the Situation Room. Admiral Sujin arrived first, her uniform crisp and her expression grim. She commanded Earth's home defense fleet, 300 ships that had never seen real combat but had trained for this moment every single day for generations. Behind her came the civilian ministers, scientists, and advisors who helped run humanity's government. Commander Hyun was the last to arrive, still wearing the exhaustion of her recent encounters with Taiyang's exploration fleet. She had barely slept since the council vessels departed, knowing that a larger confrontation was inevitable. "Show me what we're facing," President Minho said without preamble. Admiral Sujin activated the holographic display. Red markers appeared showing the council fleet's position and projected course. 200 warships ranging from light cruisers to dreadnought-class vessels. Standard council military configuration. They're moving slowly, probably because they don't know what to expect when they reach our barrier. Current estimate puts their arrival at 12 days. "What are their intentions?" asked Director Yoonji, the head of civilian affairs. She was a slim woman with sharp eyes who had always argued for peaceful solutions to problems. "We intercepted communications," Hyun replied. "It's not good. The council is coming with an ultimatum. They want us to submit to their authority, become a probationary member species under their control. If we refuse, they're prepared to use force." The room fell silent. Every person present knew what that meant. The council had tried to destroy humanity once before. Now they were coming to finish what they started, or to chain humanity under their rule. "We could strike first," Admiral Sujin said, her voice level and professional. "The fleet is still gathering in council space. They're vulnerable. We have the element of surprise. Our deep space assets could cripple their formation before they even realize they're under attack. Cut the head off the snake before it can bite." "And then what?" Yoonji demanded. "Even if we win, we reveal ourselves to the entire galaxy. Every species in the council will know we exist and where to find us. We'll face not just 200 ships, but thousands, tens of thousands. We can't fight the entire galaxy." "We might not have a choice," Sujin countered. "They're not coming here to talk. They're coming here to conquer or destroy. Waiting for them to arrive just gives them more time to prepare." President Minho held up a hand for silence. "Commander Hyun, you spoke with these council officers. What's your assessment? Will they attack us if we refuse their ultimatum?" Hyun considered the question carefully. "Commander Taiyang doesn't want war. Neither does his science officer Bora or Counselor Jiwoo. But they're not the ones in control. Admiral Corvin and the military faction are pushing for aggressive action. They see us as the ancient enemy. They're afraid of us, and fear makes people dangerous." "Then we demonstrate why their fear is justified," Sujin said firmly. "We show them what we're capable of. Make them understand that attacking us would be suicide." "A demonstration," Minho repeated thoughtfully. "Not an attack, but a show of force?" Hyun nodded slowly, understanding where the president was going. "We could set up a scenario. Let the council fleet see what our technology can do without actually firing on them. If they witness our capabilities firsthand, they might reconsider any plans for military action." "It's risky," Yoonji warned. "If we show too much, we might provoke them instead of deterring them. And if we show too little, they'll think we're bluffing." Sujin stood up straighter, a plan forming in her mind. "What if we use the asteroid field in Sector 7? There are dozens of decommissioned asteroids there that we've been planning to mine anyway. We could stage a demonstration, show them our weapon systems, our tactical capabilities, our response times, make it clear that any attack on Earth would cost them dearly. Without actually threatening them directly," Minho finished. "We're not pointing guns at their fleet. We're just showing them what those guns can do." The debate continued for hours. Some advisors worried that any show of military strength would be seen as aggression. Others argued that appearing weak would invite attack. Finally, President Minho made his decision. We'll proceed with the demonstration, but we do it carefully. Commander Hyun, I want you to establish communication with Commander Taeyang before his fleet arrives. Tell him we're willing to talk, but make it clear we will not submit to council authority. We're offering partnership, not surrender. And if they refuse? Sujin asked. Minho's expression hardened. Then we show them why humanity survived for 12,000 cycles alone. We show them what desperation and determination can create. Over the next 12 days, humanity prepared. Engineers worked around the clock, setting up the demonstration in the asteroid field. Military units ran final drills. Civilian populations were briefed on emergency procedures, just in case things went wrong. And deep in classified research facilities, scientists armed weapons systems that most humans didn't even know existed. Doyen, the young engineer who had befriended Bora, found himself assigned to the demonstration team. He worked with a group of specialists preparing the asteroid field, setting up sensors and targeting systems. As he worked, he couldn't help but think about Bora and whether she would be among the council fleet coming to threaten his home. It's strange, he said to his team leader, a woman named Hana. A few weeks ago we thought we'd spend our whole lives hidden. Now we're about to show the galaxy what humanity can do. Hana secured a sensor relay and looked at him. Are you scared? Terrified, Doyen admitted. But also, excited? Is that wrong? We've been hiding for so long. Part of me wants to show them that they didn't beat us, that we're still here, still strong. That's not wrong, Hana replied. That's human. When the council fleet finally arrived, at the gravitational barrier, they found a transmission waiting for them. Commander Hyun's face appeared on every ship's communication screen. Council fleet, this is Commander Hyun of Unified Earth Space Command. We acknowledge your arrival. President Minho has agreed to meet with your delegation, but we will not discuss subjugation or surrender. If you come in peace seeking genuine diplomatic relations, you are welcome. If you come to threaten us, you should know what you're facing. She paused, then continued with steel in her voice. We have prepared a demonstration of our defensive capabilities. You are invited to observe. Consider it a preview of what any hostile action would encounter. After you've seen what we can do, we can talk about the future. But we talk as equals, or we don't talk at all. The transmission ended. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Taeyang looked at his tactical officer. Did she just invite us to watch them show off their weapons? I believe so, sir, the officer replied nervously. Bora, who had insisted on accompanying the fleet back to human space, spoke up. They're trying to avoid war, Commander. They want us to understand that attacking them would be too costly. It's actually quite logical. Admiral Corvin's face appeared on the communication screen from his ship in the fleet. This is exactly the kind of arrogance we should expect from humans. They threaten us in our face and call it diplomacy. With respect, Admiral, they haven't threatened anyone, Taeyang replied. They've offered to demonstrate their capabilities. I recommend we accept. We need to know what we're dealing with. Corvin's expression suggested he wanted to refuse, but curiosity won out. Very well, but keep all weapons armed and ready. This could be a trap. The Council fleet moved cautiously into human space, escorted by dozens of human ships that maintained careful distance. They were led to the asteroid field where humanity had prepared its demonstration. And there, in the cold vacuum of space, the galaxy would learn why humanity had survived impossible odds. The demonstration was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same again. Humans were just a myth. Then the fleet crossed into their space. The message reached the Galactic Council before Taeyang's ship even finished its journey home. A junior communications officer named Riltek, terrified by what he had seen in human space, had broken protocol and sent an encrypted emergency transmission the moment the fleet cleared the gravitational barrier. By the time Taeyang docked at Council headquarters, the entire government already knew that humans existed. Taeyang was immediately summoned before the full Council assembly. The chamber was ancient and vast, with seats arranged in ascending circles for representatives from 17 different species. Thousands of years of history looked down from these walls. Treaties signed, wars prevented, civilization saved. Today, those walls would witness something unprecedented. Fleet Admiral Corvin stood at the center of the chamber floor, his reptilian features twisted with anger. He was old even by his species' standards, a veteran of dozens of campaigns and one of the Council's most decorated military leaders. When Taiyang entered, Corvin's eyes fixed on him with unconcealed hostility. "Commander Taiyang," Corvin's voice boomed through the chamber, "you have confirmed the existence of humans, the ancient enemy, the species our ancestors deemed too dangerous to exist, and you did nothing to neutralize this threat." Taiyang stood straight, refusing to be intimidated. "With respect, Admiral, they are not a threat. They are a civilization that has lived in peace for 12,000 cycles. They want nothing from us except to be left alone." "Left alone?" Corvin laughed harshly. "They have been hiding, Commander, building their strength, preparing for the day when they would emerge and take revenge on the Council that drove them into exile. You saw their cities, their fleets. Did they look weak to you?" Before Taeyang could respond, another voice rang out from the upper seats. Counselor Jiwoo, a young representative from the Mindari species, stood up. She was known for her radical ideas about peace and cooperation, and many of the older council members dismissed her as naive. "Admiral Corvin speaks of ancient enemies," Jiwoo said clearly. "But I have spent the past 3 days reviewing the historical records that Commander Taiyang helped uncover. The true records, not the simplified myths we teach our children. And what I found disturbs me greatly." She activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. Images appeared, official council documents from 12,000 cycles ago. These are the original council deliberations about the human question. Read them yourself. You will see that humans were not destroyed because they attacked us. They were destroyed because we feared them, because they were different, because they advanced too quickly and refused to submit to council authority. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many representatives had never seen these documents. The official history taught in schools painted humans as aggressors, as warmongers who threatened galactic peace. But these records told a different story, one of council paranoia and preemptive violence. An elderly counselor from the Vresi species stood up, his voice shaking with age and emotion. "I remember the human wars. I was young then, but I remember. The council told us we were defending ourselves, that humans would destroy everything we had built. But looking back now with older eyes, I see that we struck first. We started the war that nearly exterminated them." The chamber erupted into arguments. Some representatives defended the ancient council's actions, insisting that humans had posed a genuine threat. Others, particularly the younger members, questioned how the council could claim moral authority while hiding such a dark chapter of its history. Admiral Corvin's voice cut through the noise like a blade. "This changes nothing. Whether we struck first or not, humans remain dangerous. Commander Taiyang's own reports confirm that they possess advanced military technology. They have had 12,000 cycles to nurse their hatred of us. They know where we are. They know our weaknesses. We cannot allow this threat to continue existing." Bora, who had accompanied Taiyang to the council session, stepped forward hesitantly. "Permission to speak, honored council?" "When granted," she continued, "I spent 6 days among the humans. I walked their streets. I spoke with their people. They are not monsters planning revenge. They are beings like us with families and dreams and fears. They have built a beautiful civilization in their hidden corner of space. All they want is to be safe." "Safety through isolation," Corvin sneered. "How convenient. Until they decide they want more. Until they decide it's time to reclaim what they believe the council stole from them." Counselor Jiwoo spoke again, her voice passionate. "So what do you propose, Admiral? Should we finish what our ancestors started? Should we commit genocide against 8 billion people because we fear what they might do? What does that make us?" "It makes us survivors," Corvin replied coldly. "The first duty of the council is to protect its member species. Humans are not members. They are outsiders, dangerous outsiders who have had millennia to plot against us." The debate raged for hours. Some representatives argued for immediate military action. Others called for diplomatic outreach. A few suggested simply leaving the humans alone and pretending they had never been found. The council was more divided than it had been in centuries. Finally, the council speaker called for order. She was an ancient being from a species that rarely spoke, but when she did, everyone listened. "We will vote," she announced. "But first we will hear from Commander Tai Yang one final time. Commander, you are the only one in this chamber who has looked humans in the eye and spoken with them. Tell us, if we go to war with them, what will happen?" Tai Yang took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine the fate of billions. "Honored Council, the humans showed me some of their defensive capabilities. Not all, but enough. They have technology we do not fully understand. Weapon systems that make our own look primitive. If we attack them, even if we win, the casualties will be catastrophic. Thousands of our ships destroyed, millions of our people dead. And for what? To eliminate a civilization that has done nothing to harm us?" "They existed," Corvin interrupted.
"That is harm enough." "No," Taeyang said firmly.
"Existence is not a crime. Fear is not a justification for mass murder. If we attack the humans now, we become exactly what our ancestors were. Bullies who destroy what they don't understand. We become the villains in this story." The speaker nodded slowly. "We will vote on 3 proposals. First, immediate military action to neutralize the human threat. Second, diplomatic engagement to establish formal relations and possibly integrate humans into the council. Third, maintain the current status of mutual awareness but no formal contact. Cast your votes." The chamber fell silent as representatives made their choices. Taeyang watched the tally appear on the central display, his heart's pounding. The vote for immediate military action was significant, nearly 30% of the council. The vote for isolation was even larger. But the plurality, though not a majority, voted for diplomatic engagement. The speaker studied the results. "No option has achieved a clear mandate. Therefore, we will pursue a modified approach. A diplomatic fleet will be assembled and sent to human space. However, this fleet will be heavily armed and prepared for combat if negotiations fail. Commander Taeyang, you will lead this delegation. You will present the humans with a choice: submit to council authority as a probationary member species, or face the consequences." Taeyang felt his stomach drop. This was not diplomacy. This was an ultimatum backed by guns. "Honored speaker, the humans will never accept subjugation. They fought a 200-year war to avoid exactly that. This approach will only lead to conflict. Then we will know where they stand," Admiral Corvin said with grim satisfaction, "and we will be prepared to act accordingly." As the council session ended and representatives filed out, Jiwoo approached Taeyang. She looked tired and defeated. "This is wrong," she said quietly. "We learned nothing from our history. We're about to make the same mistake our ancestors did." Taeyang nodded. "I know, but I have my orders. I have to return to human space with a fleet and an ultimatum that may start a war neither side can win." Bora joined them, her scales pale with worry. "The humans were right to hide," she said. "They knew this would happen if they were ever discovered. They knew we hadn't really changed." 3 weeks later, Taeyang stood on the bridge of a new flagship, leading a fleet of 200 warships toward the gravitational barrier that protected human space. Behind him came the might of the Galactic Council, enough firepower to destroy planets. And ahead of him waited Commander Hyun and 8 billion humans who had spent 12,000 cycles preparing for exactly this moment. War was coming, and Taeyang could see no way to stop it. Humans were just a myth. Then the fleet crossed into their space. 3 days had passed since the Council fleet entered human space. 3 days of tense silence while surrounded by ships that could destroy them at any moment. Commander Taeyang had tried multiple times to establish communication with the humans, but received only automated responses telling him to remain in position and make no aggressive moves. On the 4th day, Commander Hyun finally appeared on screen again. She looked tired, as if she hadn't slept since their first meeting. Behind her, Taeyang could see other humans moving around what appeared to be a command center, all of them wearing dark uniforms with unfamiliar symbols. "Commander Taeyang," Hyun said without greeting, "your fleet will be allowed to send 1 shuttle to the surface. You and 2 others may come. We will talk, but I make no promises about what happens next." The transmission ended before Taeyang could respond. Bora immediately stepped forward. "I'm coming with you, Commander. If we're going to understand these people, you'll need someone who knows the history." Taeyang agreed and selected Kalos, his second in command, as the 3rd member. Kalos was a massive creature from a warrior species, all muscle and gray armor-like skin. He had argued strongly for trying to fight their way out, but Taeyang had refused. They were outgunned and trapped. Violence would only get them killed. The shuttle ride down to the human homeworld was unlike anything Taeyang had experienced. Human escort fighters flanked them the entire way, sleek machines that moved through the atmosphere with perfect precision. As they descended through the clouds, Taeyang saw cities spreading across the continents. Below, billions of lights marking a civilization that had somehow survived in secret for thousands of cycles. They landed at a military facility, surrounded by defensive towers and energy barriers. Armed human soldiers met them as they exited the shuttle. The humans were smaller than most Council species, but something in the way they moved suggested coiled danger. Their weapons were compact but looked devastatingly effective. Commander Hyun waited for them inside a large meeting room. With her were several other humans, military officers and what appeared to be civilian advisors. One wall of the room was transparent, showing the city beyond and the blue sky that stretched overhead. "Welcome to Earth," Hyun said, gesturing to seats around a long table. "The planet your council tried to erase from existence." Taeyang sat slowly, Bora and Kalos flanking him. "Commander Hyun, I need you to understand that was 12,000 cycles ago. The council has changed. Most of us didn't even know humans had really existed. We thought you were just a myth." Hyun's expression hardened. "A myth? That's convenient. You erase a species from history, and then you don't have to feel guilty about it anymore." She activated a holographic display above the table. Images appeared. Burning cities, ships fleeing through space, bodies floating in the void. "These are our records of the war. Your council hunted us across 100 star systems. They said we were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too aggressive. They said we would destroy the galaxy if we were allowed to exist." Bora studied the images with horror. "What did you do to make them so afraid?" One of the human advisors, an older man with gray hair, spoke up. "We existed. That was our crime. We were newcomers to the galactic stage, and we were good at adapting, at learning, at advancing quickly. Some council species saw us as competition. Others saw us as a threat to the established order. They started with trade sanctions, then diplomatic isolation, then finally open warfare. We fought for 200 years, Hyun continued, but the council had dozens of species and thousands of ships. We had just ourselves. Eventually, we realized we couldn't win a direct war, so we made a choice. We disappeared. We found this system hidden behind natural gravitational barriers, and we went dark. Complete silence for 12,000 cycles." Taeyang processed this information, feeling the weight of history pressing down on him. "And in all that time you've been watching us?" "Every day," Hyun confirmed. "We built monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. We watched the council grow, watched new species join, watched you spread across the stars, and we prepared because we knew that someday someone would find us again." "Prepared how?" Kalos asked suspiciously. Hyun smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You'll see soon enough. But first you need to understand what you've stumbled into. We're not the scattered refugees the council thought they destroyed. We're a unified civilization of 8 billion people. We've had 12,000 cycles to advance our technology without interference, without having to follow council regulations or standards. We've grown strong in our isolation." Bora raised a tentative hand. "May I ask a question? What is it you want? Are you planning to attack the council? Take revenge for what happened?" Hyun looked at Bora for a long moment, then sighed. "That's the question we've been debating for the past 3 days. Some of us want exactly that, to show the council what it feels like to be hunted to the edge of extinction. But others argue that we've survived by staying hidden, and revealing ourselves now would put everything at risk." Another human spoke up, a woman with sharp eyes and military decorations on her uniform. "I am Admiral Sujin, commander of Earth's defense fleet. I'll be honest with you, council visitors. We could destroy your ships right now and no one would ever know what happened to you. The barrier that hides our system would keep your fate a secret. We could send you back to the council as a warning. Or we could try to negotiate some kind of arrangement. Each option has risks." Taeyang felt sweat forming on his skin despite the cool air. He chose his words carefully. "I understand your anger. I understand your fear. But killing us or letting us go both lead to war eventually. The council will notice our absence or our report, and they'll send more ships. Bigger fleets. You'll be discovered either way." "Exactly," Hyun said. "Which is why we're having this conversation at all. You're right that we can't stay hidden forever. Your accidental discovery proved that. So now we face a choice. Reveal ourselves on our terms or wait until we're discovered again under worse circumstances. Bora leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. Commander Hyun, would you allow me to see your world? To understand how you've lived all these cycles? I promise I will report honestly to the Council about what I see. Maybe if they understand humans better, they won't react with fear. Hyun considered this request, exchanging glances with the other humans in the room. Finally, she nodded. I'll assign someone to show you around. But understand this. Everything you see here, everything you learn about us, you carry back to a council that once tried to destroy us. That's a heavy responsibility. I understand, Bora said quietly. Over the following days, a human engineer named Doyen served as Bora's guide. He was young and enthusiastic, eager to show off his world to the first alien visitor in 12,000 cycles. He took Bora through cities built both on the surface and in orbit, showed her factories that produced materials the Council had never developed, and introduced her to artists, scientists, and ordinary citizens living their lives. We're not monsters, Doyen told her as they stood on an observation platform overlooking a vast ocean. We're just people who wanted to survive. Is that so wrong? Bora looked at him, at his earnest face and hopeful eyes, and felt something shift in her understanding. No, she said softly. It's not wrong at all. Meanwhile, Taeyang was locked in tense discussions with human leadership about what would happen next. Commander Hyun laid out the situation clearly. You will return to the Council. You will tell them we exist. What happens after that determines whether our civilizations go to war or find some way to coexist. Taeyang knew she was right. The moment his ship left this system, everything would change. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not a myth, and he had no idea if that knowledge would bring peace or destruction. Humans were just a myth. Then the fleet crossed into their space, a HFY science. Fiction story outline part. 1. The legend and the crossing setup. The Galactic Council has ruled the known universe for 10,000 cycles. Comprised of 17 intelligent species, they maintain order through careful diplomacy and overwhelming military force. Among their scholars and storytellers there exists an ancient myth, tales of a species called humans, who once threatened the galaxy before vanishing into the void. Most dismiss these stories as cautionary fiction, meant to warn against hubris and isolation. The Discovery Commander Taeyang leads the Council's exploratory vessel Harmonious Dawn on a routine mapping mission along the galactic rim. His crew discovers an uncharted star system protected by a barrier of gravitational anomalies that have concealed it for millennia. Against the advice of his science officer Bora, Taeyang orders the fleet to cross the barrier. First contact, the moment they breach the anomaly, proximity alarms scream. A massive structure, a Dyson swarm around the third planet, lights up with activity. Ships unlike anything in Council records emerge from the structure. They're sleek, dangerous, and moving with impossible speed. A transmission cuts through all channels. This is Unified Earth Space Command. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately. The realization Bora frantically searches the historical archives. Her scales pale as she finds it. Buried in the oldest records, the descriptions match perfectly. The myth was real. Humans are real, and the Council's fleet has just invaded their territory. Part 2. The Frozen War. The standoff. The Council fleet is surrounded within hours. Taeyang attempts diplomacy, but the human ships maintain weapons lock. A human commander, Hyun, appears on screen, her expression cold, her words colder. Your Council hunted us to extinction, or so you thought. We've been watching. We've been waiting. Now you've come to us. The hidden history through tense negotiations, the truth emerges in fragmented revelations. 12,000 cycles ago, humanity had been a rising power, too aggressive, too adaptable, too dangerous in the eyes of the Council. The Council's founders orchestrated a campaign to drive humans from the galaxy. Humanity vanished, presumed destroyed. In reality, they fled to this hidden system and built a civilization in secret. The human civilization Bora is granted permission to visit the human homeworld as part of a diplomatic exchange. She witnesses a society that has evolved in isolation, technology that diverged from Council standards, art that speaks of survival and defiance, and a population in the billions. Their guide, a civilian engineer named Doyun, explains their philosophy. We were betrayed once. We won't let it happen again. That's why we stayed hidden. That's why we're prepared. The internal conflict commander Taeyang faces a choice. He can report the humans' existence to the council, triggering a potential war that would devastate both sides, or he can remain silent, hoping to forge a peace treaty before anyone else discovers the truth. His second-in-command, Kalos, argues for immediate reporting. It's their duty. But Taeyang sees something in the humans' eyes. Not aggression, but fear born from ancient trauma. Part 3. The council learns the leak. Despite Taeyang's efforts, word reaches the council. A junior officer aboard the Harmonious Dawn, terrified of the humans' military capabilities, sends an encrypted message back to council space. Within days, the council convenes an emergency session. Historians scramble to verify the claims. When they confirm humanity's identity, panic spreads through the chambers. The Warhawks fleet Admiral Corvin, a decorated military commander from the Vresi species, advocates for immediate military action. They are the ancient enemy, he declares. Our ancestors understood the threat. Now they have had thousands of cycles to prepare to grow stronger. We must strike before they strike us. His faction gains support. Fueled by fear and misinterpreted history, the Peace Seekers counselor Jiwoo, a human sympathizer from the younger generation of the Mindari species, argues desperately for diplomatic solutions. She has studied the old records without prejudice and sees a different story, not of human aggression but of council paranoia. We created this enemy, she tells the council. We drove them into hiding. If we attack now, we become the monsters our ancestors claim to fear. The ultimatum the council votes. The result, a compromise that satisfies no one. They will send a massive diplomatic fleet to human space, but it will be heavily armed. The message is clear. Submit to council authority or face annihilation. Taeyang is ordered to deliver the ultimatum. He knows the humans will never accept subjugation. War seems inevitable. Part 4. The human response. The debate on Earth. The human leadership convenes in their capital orbiting above Earth. President Minho faces his own divided government. The military, led by Admiral Sujin, argues for a preemptive strike. The council fleet is still gathering, vulnerable. The civilian government, represented by Director Yoonji, pleads for restraint. We've survived by hiding, she argues. Now we can survive by talking. Show them we're not the monsters they fear. Humanity's trump card in a secret meeting, Admiral Sujin reveals what few know. During their isolation, humanity didn't just survive, they thrived. They've developed weapon systems that make council technology look primitive. Quantum disruptors, singularity missiles, AI-assisted battle networks that respond faster than biological reflexes. In a direct conflict, they could win. But victory would mean revealing themselves to the entire galaxy and painting a target on their civilization forever. The Decision Hyun, the commander who first confronted Taeyang's fleet, proposes a third option. Instead of hiding or fighting, humanity should demonstrate their power, not to threaten but to prove they can't be bullied. She suggests a controlled exhibition. Allow the council fleet to witness a fraction of human military capability in a simulated battle scenario. Let them see what we can do, she says. Then let them choose peace because it's wise, not because we're weak. The demonstration, when the council's diplomatic fleet arrives, humanity puts on a show. Drones engage in mock combat at speeds the council can barely track. A decommissioned asteroid is obliterated by weapons that bend space-time itself. The council observers watch in horror and awe. They came expecting to find refugees. They found titans. Part 5. The New Galactic Order. The aftermath. The demonstration works too well. Fear ripples through the council fleet. Some commanders call for immediate retreat. Others, like Admiral Corvin, see it as confirmation of humanity's threat and agitate for calling in more forces. Taeyang finds himself in the middle, trying to prevent the situation from exploding into open warfare. The Bridge Bora and Doyun, who have formed an unlikely friendship during the crisis, work together on a solution. They propose a radical idea, a joint research initiative. Instead of seeing humanity as an enemy or a subordinate, integrate them as an equal partner. Share technology, culture, knowledge. The council gains access to human innovation, and humanity gained security through alliance rather than isolation. The Old Guard's last stand Admiral Corvin attempts a coup within the Council fleet, ordering an attack on the human homeworld. His faction believes that destroying Earth now, while they have surprise, is the only way to ensure galactic security, but Taiyang, with help from Hyun and those loyal to peace, intercepts the rogue ships. In a tense standoff, Counselor Jiwoo broadcasts directly to both fleets, appealing to reason over fear. Corvin's support crumbles when his own officers refuse to follow orders that would start a genocidal war. The treaty months of negotiation follow. President Minho and the Council leadership hammer out the Treaty of New Dawn. Humanity is granted a seat on the Galactic Council, not as a subordinate member, but as an equal. The old history is acknowledged, reparations discussed, and safeguards put in place to ensure neither side can threaten the other. The barrier around human space remains, but now it's a border, not a prison. The new era. The story closes 5 cycles later. Doyen now serves as humanity's first ambassador to the Council homeworld. Bora works alongside him as a liaison. Together they oversee joint projects that are revolutionizing galactic civilization. On Earth, Hyun trains the first generation of human explorers who will venture beyond their hidden system, no longer as refugees in hiding, but as recognized citizens of the galaxy. Final Scene Commander Taeyang, now retired, sits in a cafe on Earth, the first Council citizen to ever walk its surface as a guest, not an invader. Jiwoo joins him, marveling at the blue sky. "Do you think it will last?" she asks. "The peace?" Taeyang watches humans and aliens walking together through the streets. "Our ancestors made humans into myths to justify their fear," he says. "We almost destroyed ourselves believing those myths. Now we have a choice. Write a new story together or repeat the old one." The camera pulls back, showing Earth nestled in its star system, ships from a dozen species coming and going freely. The age of myths is over. The age of humanity has begun. Themes: the danger of mythologizing enemies, fear versus understanding in first contact scenarios, the cycle of violence and how to break it, strength through isolation versus strength through community, the responsibility that comes with power-tone military, science fiction with diplomatic thriller elements, emphasizing the humanity and alienness of all parties involved, showing that both sides have reasonable fears and valid perspectives.